Is Mark Berg, and we are streaming live right now. Of course, if you're on the podcast version, it's not live for you, but streaming from my childhood home in Queens, New York. We made the trip back, and my lovely wife and I are going on a little trip to Iceland and Ireland, and we might make one more stop over in Europe before we head back to the US for our beach volleyball training camps in St. Pete Beach. So by the time you're hearing this episode on podcast version, we will be underway, probably already in the middle of some camp weeks and enjoying the beautiful Florida winters, if you want to call them that. If you guys ever want to sign up for a camp or come along and train with us for 7 days, or even bring us somewhere to your city for a clinic, please reach out. Email support at betteratbeach.com and we will be there for you. If you're here live right now and you're watching this is September 21st. In, I guess, 14 days, we're starting our Athletic Foundations program yet again. This is a massively popular program. We go through 21 days of nutrition, fitness, and workout challenges, and it helps you, first of all, get your life in order. I built a program after getting a broken foot and needing to basically sprint through my recovery in order to get back in volleyball shape. And I created a 21-day protocol for myself. And then we made it into a big group thing, and it was really successful. People thoroughly enjoyed it, getting to get their mobility back, getting their strength back, and getting their bodies primed so that they can either enjoy their season or carry on with us in our 60-day max vertical jump program. The 21-day Athletic Foundations prepares you for our 60-day intense training program, which we also run online. And if you join our membership as one of our coaching students, we also actively customize it for you. We coach you on your technique. Basically, you'll be doing the workouts with me via video, and you can record anything that you do as one of our members, post it onto our Facebook group, and within 24 hours, one of our current pros or pro coaches will critique you, offer you feedback on your technique, offer you feedback on your skills for volleyball when we get into the skill portion. But that's all starting in a couple of weeks here in October. And then we will run the Athletic Foundations and 60-day max vertical again in preparation for the 2023 season. But the next time we do that will actually be January 1st. So if you're here live and you're watching it, join up. It's going to be fun. It's going to be intense, and it'll set your fall to kick off and get you in shape and start building the foundation of strength that you're going to need for next season if you are here with us in the Northern Hemisphere. Um, aside from that, today, I'm actually excited to talk to one of my competitors. Me and him have slugged it out, not literally, like we're seeing on the AVP so many times now, but we have really battled against each other and had really tight matches. He came along to the AVP just a few years after me, and he made his debut in the main draw in 2017. And I'm excited to learn about his path, his thoughts on the volleyball game now, and what he's tried. Because similar to me, it's a bit of a journeyman where, there's the qualifier years or half a year or a quarter year in a qualifier, and then a bunch of tournaments where you're in the main draw. So he's always constantly hovering in that top 16 in our country, which is it's just incredible to be at that level and still competing. And we talked off camera a little bit about how this season was, the 2022 season, and kind of what life choices you have to make if you're outside that top 3 or 4 teams in the AVP. So I'm looking forward to this conversation, and you guys should too. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ben Vaught. What's going on, Ben?
Wow, that was an intro. 4 minutes and 40 seconds going strong.
I mean,
That was impressive. Good for you, man.
I'm no Geeter, but
No one is though. Well, I am doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to talk about all of my exciting stuff.
Do you feel bad for Mark Sherman? Like, I love Mark. He's Brandon's roommate, great guy, but to the ultimate, like, follow in your footsteps or the next act on stage to come after Geeter in any way. Mark's made it his own for sure, right? And now he's like recognized as that voice. Does he have an 11-minute intro where he's memorized, all of your stats going back to third grade? No, but his voice has crushed it, and it's like so recognizable as the AVP voice now. But do you ever think like, how much do you think Sherman thinks about Geeter?
Probably he looks himself in the mirror every night. He's like, man, what could I be if I was Geeter? I mean, I know it might have been one match. He might have been playing. It was Chicago. Phil and Todd were the best team in the world. I remember one of my friends told me that Geeter was in their face, like, "You guys are the best team in the world. Start acting like it." Like right before about to play, and I was like, "That is so epic."
Yeah.
I don't think Sherman's going to do that, but if he did, that would be fun. That would be cool.
It's crazy to be a hype man
Oh
for
yeah.
two opposing teams. Like it is cool in other pro sports where the other team gets their announcement, but there's never that the hometown love, like the Chicago Bulls, when everything turns off, all the lights turn off, you hear that music and
Mhm.
spotlights come out, and they give the extra love to the home team. But it's so cool that beach volleyball announcers give love and act as hype men, for both teams. I think we all need more announcers in our lives,
We do. We do.
just giving us some love when we enter rooms.
Yeah. Go to work every morning. You have someone calling you out, hyping you up.
Yeah. So Ben, I wanna hear a little bit because I don't know anything about your volleyball history other than you grew up in Newport, right down county
Yeah, right in Huntington Beach.
in Huntington Beach. So for those of us who grew up the other way, we grew up in New York or Minnesota or somewhere in the Midwest, and you're thinking like these California guys, they get to play year round and they get so many more reps and so much more experience and better competition. Did you feel when did you start playing? Well, let's start there.
So I started playing. So when I was in 7th grade, my woodshop teacher handed me a flyer for a volleyball club called the HBC.
Mm.
I don't know if you're familiar or not. So obviously I was like, oh, this is so cool. I tried out and like just fell in love with that. That's volleyball. I started playing beach volleyball. I went to sorry, let me backtrack. I'm sure you know TJ DeFalco.
Oh yeah.
So him and I grew up playing together and on indoor, and we played a little bit on the beach. And he was telling me he's playing in this professional qualifier, which is the AVP qualifier in Huntington in 2013. And I was like, I didn't even know there was a professional beach volleyball league in the US because
What?
I saw a film on the Olympics and I thought I was like, it's like an international thing. And he was telling me he's playing this qualifier. I was like, oh, that's
Wait,
really
in
cool.
2013, you didn't know there was a pro volleyball league, a pro beach volleyball?
Nope, not a clue. Yeah, I know, right? Kind of weird.
Whoa. All right. Go
Yeah,
on. Okay.
you were playing AVPs at that point, right? Was
Yeah.
that 2013 your
Yeah.
first year? Yeah,
I
I
was in there.
never.
I think like 2010 might have been my first ever main
Okay,
draw, and like I might have made one or something like that at that time.
okay. Yeah, so 2013, he was telling me about that, and I was like, "Is Phil Dahlhauser? Are you playing Phil?" And he was like, "No, they're in the main draw. We're playing a qualifier." And I was like, "I have no idea what that is." So then I remember, and actually another friend of mine called me. He was like, "Oh, I'm at the AVP. You should come watch." And I was like, "Okay." I've never been to it, never heard of it, but I had nothing to do. So met with my friend Kyle Bailey. We sat courtside. Honestly, we stayed there probably about 6 hours. I brought my chair. I didn't move.
Oh
And
dang.
I just sat there. I was like, "This is the coolest thing." And one of my still my favorite games is on YouTube. It's Casey Patterson and Jake Gibb playing Ryan Doherty and Todd Rogers. Then seeing
Oh, okay.
Casey like bouncing balls, dancing on the court, then Todd just screaming at Ryan and the ref. Todd's just like, I remember he looks at the ref. He goes like, "You need lens crafters," like screaming at the ref. And Casey's just smiling, doing like that middle set, no look away angle swing that he just used to bounce the crap out of.
And Ryan just kind of
And Ryan
there.
just taking it. Raji. And I was like, this guy's a freaking dick, but this is so cool. And
Yeah.
the game's on YouTube, and I watched the game a couple times on YouTube. You can see me like in the corner, like holding a hat up to block the sun because it was getting kind of late.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is the coolest sport ever. And then Then my friend was telling me he used to play at the pier. So I would, me and my friend Oliver, we would early in the, like on the weekend morning, like 7 a.m. We go to the north side, like walk around, ask people to play against us because south side is where all the good players were. We weren't allowed over there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We got kicked out because we weren't good enough. So
Hmm.
we walk around the north
Court
side.
one and two with I think Trambly was still there at that time.
And
Casey
uh,
Patterson
that's
and
another
Jake
story.
were running court one. Trambly and Gary were
Court
on
two, and
one and two, and then Marchuka. Yeah.
and I know Trevor Crab came down. Trevor Crab was down there a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't go to I skipped a lot of school my senior because I just like spent more. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Was
so
this high school or college?
high school.
Skipping out on class. You're
Yeah,
senior year of high school. Hopefully, we don't
yeah,
have kids listening, so we're fine.
yeah. But I would like walk around, ask people to play. Then when it got later, the sun started to go down. We would kind of walk over to the south side. And people were like, "Hey, we can play." And there's no one else there. People were like, oh, "Okay, fine, you guys can play with us." And we did that for like honestly probably like a month, and then eventually they started letting us play with them earlier. We can actually play them
Mhm.
during the sunlight because they knew us, were nice to us. But yeah, that was actually one more funny story for that. Our first time playing this guy named Gary Colwell. He still plays at the pier. Like he asked us to play because it was really lame. My friend like, dude, we gotta perform. Like this is our fucking
Mhm.
chance to go with the big dogs. And this guy's like 55. So then the very first play, I set my partner. He kills, and we're like jumping down celebrating. I turn around, he's holding the ball. He's at the net. He's like, "That's illegal. Our point." And he goes back
Ugh.
to serve, and we're like, "Holy
What was
shit!"
it? What kind of play was it? Was it a double, a set over?
Oh, I chucked the crap out of my hand. I just freaking helicoptered it.
Oh, okay,
Staggered.
okay.
And he looks at me, and I was like, "Holy shit, these guys are legit." And that was my true introduction to beach volleyball.
Nice.
Yeah,
Isn't it? I give this advice all the time to people who are starting or trying to find partners or trying to play with better groups. I the absolute number one thing you need to do is just show up to the courts.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
without anything else, you need to hover, helicopter around those courts as soon as anyone's sitting down, like as soon as they sit down or take a knee. Like, hey, you want to play in that other court? If like they're better players there, or there's, I kind of think of like Texas, right? Where you're probably looking at Roshitz and Cannoli, before they left. And you got to think that there's not a ton of competition for them. So going up to those two guys who are the only AVP guys in Texas, you're thinking there's no way I could ask them. But how desperate are they to have somebody just feed, or somebody else who wants reps to learn the game? So I'm always telling people, just go to the court, hover, stay there. You're not going to call anybody. You're not going to know if anyone's going to be there, but make that your life. If you want to make volleyball your life, if you actually want to get better or play with other people
yeah.
at that court or wherever the courts are, and just offer nonstop. The problem, I think, people get shy, like, oh, it looks stupid. You look stupid for a week until somebody invites you on the court, and then you will be in their group. You'll be in their circle for the rest of the time.
Yeah, that's what I did with when like after you start getting into pure league, I started when Ty Tramley was playing. I would kind of
Hmm.
hover Ty and Gary. I would beg them like, hey, because at that time, Court Two was like it was pretty good volleyball. Like Ty Tramley was playing, Russ
Hmm.
Marchuka, and Ty and Gary were on the
Let
weekend
me
group.
let me pause here for
Yeah,
those who don't know. In Huntington Beach, there's a big pier. It's Huntington Pier, and it's big wide sand. And if you're looking at the ocean on the left side or the south side, there's about 8 or 9 courts, give or take. Right side, the north side, there's probably maybe 12. And for years, Casey Patterson was basically running those courts with Gibb and with Ty Trambly. There was just this cohort of players that played south side, and every day, because you knew what time you would be there, they set up the public court, territorial.
Mark, you're kind of breaking out a bit, by the way.
To move. Sorry, they're
No,
saying
you're
like
good. You're good.
you're on the pro court, need to move. Close to the court, there's territory there, and then to be invited to one of those top 3 courts, or to like feel like you belong there, it's a big deal. It's a huge
Oh
deal.
yeah,
In San Diego, there was like Cohasset versus South Mission. There's this
yeah.
2 courts 8 blocks away, and you don't play on those courts unless one of the main draw guys invites you there, or there's nobody on that court. And it's interesting how territorial it is. But anyway, Casey, Tramley, Doherty, Jacob, these are the guys who are living on court 1 and 2, left side of Huntington Beach Pier. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, interrupted you, but I wanted people to context of the California.
Well, actually, to add to that, Casey Patterson would get up at like 5 in the morning, get to the beach around like 5:30ish. He would bike walk his lines around court 1, like in between the poles. He would wrap it around and bike walk it so no one could take it. A lot of locals did not like that.
No, they never do. But
at the same time,
there's nothing else we could do because in California they don't offer you the chance to like reserve courts or anything. Yeah. And the sad part about it is like so many of the municipalities, and like Hermosa is included in this, the volleyball players take care of those courts better than anyone else, and they pay for the new equipment. They install the new equipment. They update it. So they keep the volleyball courts looking pristine. And if there's a glass bottle around, like volleyball players are like, yo, get that out of here. If there's, cans, the volleyball players will pick it up. So even though that's public territory, the volleyball players do own it in a way. They take responsibility for it, where the city says, yeah, hey, we pay for these courts. It's like, no, you don't, because I know firsthand that we pay to maintain the public courts, like with our own dollars. So it's better for those municipalities and then everybody to say like, all right, some pros who are trying to make a living out of this, where you can't rent the court, there's no other opportunity to do that. There should be some sort of permit system, I think.
Yeah. I kind of knew it was kind of like the hierarchy kind of thing. I knew Casey Patterson and Jacob were the top dogs. So even though I was playing on court 1, as soon as Casey got there, before he bike blocked it, we'd immediately get off and put our lines away. Like, no hesitation. It's like, all right, he's here, just pull it up. And then he told me, he started saying, because my senior of high school was 2015. That was when Jake and Casey were pretty much like our full swing Olympics or Olympic qualifying mode. I would play volleyball from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., then go to my 8:30 a.m. class, which I never went to. So he would just tell me, hey, he would lend me his lines. Like, you can throw my lines down, but so then when you're done, you can take off and my line's already there.
Ah, sweet.
Which is pretty nice. And then he would have like the Polish guys practicing against them sometimes, or the Latvians. And then court 2 would have Tremblay and Ross playing like Casey Jennings and Bill Kalinske.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, I didn't go to that class a lot. I think I had if you missed at that school, if you missed 28 classes, you would not be able to walk. I missed like 24, I think.
All right. So you're fine.
I was fine.
Plenty of space.
I had a wiggle room of 4, so take it.
Just living that Rosenthal life.
Oh. But man, that was so cool back in the day. Nice. So cool.
All right. So you started playing, fell in love kind of in high school. When do you think the transition came where you felt, when was the first time that you felt really, I think I can make a main draw? And what was that experience for you?
So obviously 2017 was my first time qualifying in Huntington.
How old were you?
I was 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm old now. 25.
You're talking to a mummy over here. So
dude, but like I never felt that like I could like I was good enough to qualify. Like I remember I started playing with Brandon Clemens, and he's like one of my best buddies. And then we were playing like they had at that time they had like AVP Next events, which were like smaller events. If you win enough or had finished the highest points, you could get a bid to Manhattan. And we won a few of those because his partner got hurt, and I was begging him to play with me. But I never walked into Huntington or my first time qualifying being like, oh yeah, this is easy, I can qualify. And then we beat Reed and Kame in the round to get in.
Which is bonkers.
Oh, Reed, I watched that game and Reed was jumping about that high at that point.
Huh.
And there was 2 plays I remember. I remember it was 13-all. I was so nervous to hand set because Brandon got served. I bump set him, jacked him like 3 feet past the antenna. He hit with a left-hand baby cut shot over Kame to score. And then it was we were up 2019. I got served, took a backside, completely sand trapped, like didn't even jump and just poked it over Reed on his block, like falling down, poked it right over him. And then I remember walking to the side, like everyone was around me, like mouth dropped. I was like, state draft. But for my once that first time qualifying, that was kind of like the most like I can do this. Like I
Mm.
don't need. I don't need to wait 2 more years to be good enough.
So you played a qualifier before, and I think a lot of people kind of do this. You played a
Yeah.
qualifier before you were even thinking like I belong in the main draw
Oh,
or
totally.
I should.
Yeah, my first qualifier was actually it was it Manhattan 2015? I think yeah, 2015, 2014, something like that. And we got smashed really hard in the first match because
Mm.
our match was scheduled for 8 a.m. and I thought we'd get there by 8 a.m.
Ah, well,
Yeah, happened. We got there at 7:59. We're about to forfeit, and we're playing. It was Matt Motter and Dave. Was it Dave Smith?
that's
No,
that's a
no,
good team.
it wasn't Dave Smith. It was what's Paul Lama Miles Parteen's coach? I'm drawing a blank.
Uh,
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Paul, Derek Olson, like I'm
Oh,
trying to
Paul
think
Paul
of
Lama Miles Partain. He was San Diego guy. Miles Partain, their coach this year.
it wasn't
Who's good?
Derek. Who was it? Ariza?
No, it wasn't Ariza. Mike Playcheck.
Oh, play check.
Yeah.
Legit.
So we played
Yeah.
them two for we lost like
And
21.
great coach. Fantastic coach.
Yeah, we lost 21-10 each set. And I was like, well, now we know. Don't get there when it says 8 a.m. Don't get there 8 a.m. Get there like 7.
Mm.
But no, for me, it was just like I just wanted to play, and I thought it was so cool to sign up and have official refs. So for me, I was like, I'm just at the beginning, I was like, I want to travel to just stay at the local ones. And then my buddy Alex asked me to travel to like San Francisco 2016. And I was like, why not? I mean, it's so fun. If we get smashed, we get smashed. But
Mm.
just have the opportunity to go do that and play, have like an official rep, an official tournament. It's like, why would you not want, in my mind, why would you not want to do that? Regardless if
Yeah.
you think you're good enough or not, it was just such a cool experience.
I think I went through the same like process for maybe 3, 4 years where I mean I had been playing volleyball actually for like 2 years, like between indoor or beach. Just been playing for 2 years, and one of the like 26-year-old double A players, he's like, "Hey, you want to play in the Manhattan Open?" I was like, I mean, I don't have the $50, and
Yeah.
he's like, and so he paid entry, and I just rolled into this tournament with a guy that I had played pickup with,
Right.
in San Diego, and that kept happening. And so that then at some point you make it, and it's funny when BVB info starts your career, like
Yeah.
it says that like you've been playing for X long. It's like, did I really start my career at 19? Like,
Yeah.
I just signed up for a tournament with somebody who really wanted to go to LA and drink.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was for me though. Like I've never felt that like, oh man, I belong in the main AVP main draw stuff. It just kind of happened. I mean, I think we got a little lucky because we got Reed because Reed had to play a really tough match against Rafu and Kevin McCulloch.
Mm.
Then they had to play another really tough match against Paul Riza and Matt Motter.
Dang, I mean, and
Those
those
are
were two qualifier matches for him.
yeah,
He probably had like 0 points at that time because those are two,
tough
I mean,
teams.
still really good teams. Again,
Yeah.
like kind of quasi journeyman, you could say, but no matter what day, what year you put them in for the last 2 decades, those are top 20 teams in the country,
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
that's no joke.
Yeah, and then we had to play some older guys, and then we had to play our third round was against like Marcin Jakota,
Hmm.
and he's good. He's obviously a very good player, but compared to playing Rafu, we were
Different
and also
story. Yeah.
and at that game too, the first set we lost like 21-10 or 21-11.
Mm.
But we had zero expectation. We were no pressure. It was like, oh, we get to be in this round to get in. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And there was no stress about losing because we didn't even expect to make it past the first round. Because we were just like we were just playing volleyball at that point. There was no expectation. If we don't take anything less than this, we're gonna be crushed.
Right.
It was just all like let's just play volleyball.
There is some freedom in that, right? To that underdog nature of knowing, like, I, there is a little bit of freedom, but I also don't feel it's just a different type of stress.
Yeah,
Being like, okay, I'm 37 now, and looking at these kids from Florida, like Caleb Queckel,
yeah,
guys who can absolutely ball. And me and Jeff just lost the finals to the Basie brother, one of the Basie brothers. He's like 21 or 22, but legit volleyball players.
Yeah.
And you're just going like, I've yeah, I felt this pressure. I mean, I'm better at just handling it and breathing instead of like freaking myself out internally. So I feel more comfortable in those situations. But I didn't feel like I was all fucking spit and vinegar, piss and vinegar. When I was 24, trying
Yeah.
to win that same match, like there was, I don't know, I was fired up and shaky at
Yeah.
those times. Now I'm not fired up, but I'm calm. So like, which is better? Everyone says, oh, there's no stress for that young team. They got nothing to lose. They're just here because they're here. I I never felt like I could just do anything and be happy with it at that point once you're at 13 or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of the same. I was already kind of the same way. You get to that point where it's like you're happy to be there, but you don't want to lose at the same time. And you're like, fuck, we got this point. Like, let's freaking win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if I really answered your question very well.
Yeah.
But like once we qualified for the first main draw and we played Jake and Taylor, but I mean, the scores, it was like 16-19, I think, something like that. But I looked at the video, I was like, oh yeah, we almost beat Jacob and Taylor Crowd. We belong here. I watched the video and Taylor Crowd was like standing straight up on defense, like not paying attention. But I didn't know that during the game, so I was like, yeah, we're right here. And then after that, that's when I started feeling like, you know what, like I do belong here. Like this is something I can pursue a bit more.
Mm.
So I dropped out of college, which is a great idea.
To the ever financial promises of
Yeah.
the AVP tour.
Yeah. Kids watching, don't drop out of school to play volleyball.
That's
Don't do that.
no, definitely not. And there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to learn about brand building, sponsorships. It's weird because I've learned so much in building this company over the last, and then like being a player before that, and then being a player with a brand and understanding how like sponsorships actually could or should work, and the amount of time that a 24-year-old kid will dedicate to trying to get a protein sponsorship. Like, all right, you just spent the last 8 hours talking to somebody or trying to convince them to give you a free tub of protein every month. Like, that's not what's going to make your life easier for these tournaments. And that's the deal. That's the goal of sponsorships and that type of support. It's not, can you send me a free hat? Not, can you send me protein or this like electrolyte mix? Like, I can go get Pedialyte. It's, you make my day-to-day life more comfortable.
Yeah.
And usually it's financially, so that I can like work 1 hour less or 2 hours less, so that I can go get and afford the massage that I need to be able to go to that level. And if there were like some financial viability in volleyball, I would love to just take up that role and teach people brand building and say like where you're wasting your time and where you aren't. But to me, it's the AVP has to prove itself before I make a micro economy out of that.
This is kind of maybe weird now. Just talking to a friend, it's like, I might sound like a total idiot here, so bear with me. But is LeBron James marketable because the AVP does, because the NBA gets so many viewerships, or does the NBA get so many viewerships because LeBron James plays? Personally, I think I think if the organization does not bring in viewerships, whoever players you have doesn't bring any value to it.
Right.
Obviously, if you have certain players, it may bring more viewerships, but I was looking at AVP's bringing in, I think, like 7,000 viewers a final on a live stream right now.
Mm.
And if you're trying to be a sponsored athlete, I mean, reality is most companies aren't going to give anybody money for 7,000 viewers.
The smart ones don't. The ones who have money to spare don't. But the 24-year-old who is not playing volleyball and who is starting his supplement company, he's like, oh yeah, we need a sponsored athlete. And then they start looking at the ones they can afford, and then they offer you $50. And then somebody like Hayden and Todd Rogers are like, this is stupid. Like, if anybody says yes to us, you're devaluing the entire tour. You devalue every player after you. Now companies know that they can buy an AVP player for $50 or a tub of BCAAs. And it's like, great. You didn't do anything for the person after you or for your future, because now people know that they can buy you for $50 instead of buy your season for 5,000 or 50,000.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Brandon and I got really caught up in the sponsor stuff. So
I think we all did at some point.
we had like Mizuno be our sponsor, which all they did was send us board shorts and hats and t-shirts because Brandon knew someone who worked there.
Hmm.
Then we had Birdwall, which sent us a pair of board shorts. Saraspore, which paid for our entry fees.
Yeah.
And then
How many hours does it cost to like keep like talking to that and
oh my god, it was
and updating it? And then even if they do, I just had a conversation, somebody who wanted to like partner with our company for our camps and stuff.
Mhm.
And it came down to like, I don't think you can afford us, because the amount of man hours and stuff that I know now, what it really takes to sell something or
Yeah.
to promote something. It's not going to take one post. It's not going to take 3 posts. It's going to take you 15 social media posts, like over a huge amount of time. And you can't go after me with these like your bot followers. I need to see actual real engagement. And if the companies don't know how to track this, well, then they don't have smart marketers on their team. And if you can't post 15 times to promote this, they're not going to get sales. And guess what? After that one time sponsoring you for your tournament, they're going to be like, I saw no uptick. Why am I even having this conversation anymore?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot that people need to learn when they're really truly wasting their time and energy. And until we do get viewerships up in the millions, hundreds of thousands,
Mm-hmm.
it's useless. And then putting somebody on your shorts, at no point am I watching a volleyball match going, oh, that's a cool logo on the shorts. Let me go and research a website and try to buy something from it. Like, no. The only people who are after that brand recognition are people like Nike, Under Armour. Like, they're already monsters, and now they just need to be constantly present of mind. But a small building company is not going to do it. Sorry, I got heavily into
no. I got to tell you a really funny story about sponsors.
Ooh.
So this is a funny story. So this is really stupid, but I was younger. I DM'd like Wilson on Instagram, Wilson Volleyball. Said, hey, my name is Ben. I'm a beach volleyball player. Me and my partner, we want to be sponsored from whatever, yada, yada. We're the youngest team here. We can provide value for being underdog, yada, yada, yada. Never heard anything back. Then there was an FIVB in China, and Stafford Slick was doing an Instagram takeover. I wake up, I see Stafford Slick sent me a text. He screenshot the thing I sent him, and he's like, hey, Ben, I saw your thing. Let me give you some advice. First thing first, you have a lot of spelling errors, punctuation errors.
That's such a Stafford thing to say.
Stuff that just doesn't make sense. Remember, you should be professional. You should really proofread what you send to sponsors. Secondly,
good.
You're the youngest team out there. Nobody cares at all. The only thing people care about is winning.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not winning, nobody cares.
Right.
And he said, and this one I think is true. The third thing, never go for a team sponsor. What happens if your partner gets hurt? What happens if you part ways? Do you guys lose that sponsor?
Right.
And I thought it was really funny. And I was like, wow, I'm doing this thing so wrong. It's just so funny. I was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I see like a multi-paragraph essay text from Stafford Slick.
Good for him.
And I was like, Stafford never texted me ever. And it was just the funniest thing.
That's awesome. And meanwhile, I think he got, other than Wilson, he probably got his best sponsorship playing against me and Marchuka when Marchuka hit and ripped open his retina. And then he had the Fear the Goggles thing for years and got the Wiley X sponsorship. I don't know the details of that. Sometimes you think people are like sponsored and they're making money. And then if you actually see the insides, you're like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of realized the reality of beach volleyball. It's unless you're really winning at the international level, or you're playing the Olympics, you're competing for Olympics, and you get Red Bull, some of those really big sponsors, big volleyball sponsors. You're better off, in my opinion, just focusing on getting better and trying to win first, versus
100%.
Versus trying to like focus on getting these little sponsors to pay for, get board shorts paid for, get this T-shirt or hat. Like one of my gym clients talks about all the time.
Go to Marshall's, like go to freaking Goodwill, get your board shorts and play. It's not going to make a difference in your game. So you don't need to spend the 3 hours, 4, 5, 8, 10 hours texting somebody to get you shorts from Hurley, you know?
It doesn't
Nothing
matter.
against Hurley, but like it's not worth my time to go
No,
and
you're
get those
better.
shorts. I'll show up in speedos and play volleyball, and if I
I'll,
win, I'll be
I'll,
the
I'll, show up,
speedo guy.
I'll show up in sweatpants. I'll show up in my old volleyball. I used to play in my old volleyball, indoor volleyball clothes. But bottom
Hell
line,
yeah.
yeah. Bottom line, it's you're not. In my opinion, you're all these. I see like new younger people are big on the sponsor stuff, but most of it's all product. It's all product based stuff.
Yeah.
Volleyball is just not. It's not a very high revenue sport, and most companies aren't going to invest a lot of income, a lot of money into a player that the league doesn't return with a lot of viewership.
Hmm.
Hence, if you're in the like Olympian, those players get. I believe those guys get pretty good sponsors. I know Phil had Red Bull for a while, and they were paying him a good chunk of money.
Yeah.
I think Jake and Taylor had Rockstar, and I believe they're getting paid pretty well for that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're top three, maybe 4 or 5 every weekend,
Yeah,
and you're one of the guys who is getting in the finals.
yeah,
Yeah, people are gonna find you. They're gonna chase you because like now you're on television. Now you're on the most watched matches,
yeah.
and there you go. You've earned that. But outside that, just
Done.
focus on either building your own brand
Yeah,
or just sacrificing the hell out of everything else in your 20s and getting good
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's key for any. And all three of you young guys right now who are listening and you're about to hit that cusp of AVP, stop wasting your time texting people. Get back in the gym, go on the court, pass float serves for 3-4 hours today, and you will be way better off. Like there is no burnout from passing float serves. Your body cannot get hurt. You can't do anything, and that's the basis of your entire win.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit to a kind of coaching and playing philosophies. You
Okay.
know, and I know one of the coaches that you played under for a few tournaments, and you've given me
Mhm.
some problems on the courts for sure. But are there any strategies or insights into the game that you've experimented with and that you've had to then ditch later? Because that's a big one for us. Is that I spent so long without a coach
Yeah.
that I had to just cycle through a bunch of theories and ideas that I had in my head that I logicked out to make sense.
Mhm.
But then I show up to like the USA Elite Development Team, and
Okay.
in one practice, they're all wiped out,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, sit down, shut up, do this. Trust me, it works. Trust me, every single one of the top players does it this way. And they're like, oh, man, if I only had a coach 6 years ago to tell me that from the start, I'd
Mhm.
be sad. I wouldn't have wasted all those thousands of points. And we always tell our players, like, hey, one piece of advice that we give you, like whether it's in our online program, a clinic, or a camp, that one piece of advice, that's going to be worth thousands of points for you. And that was my experience with Alzina, Mike Dodd, when we're at their practices, was just like, shoot, I remember all of the matches that I lost because of this. So is there anything that you've learned or tried and then
Mhm.
ditched because you got smarter?
Yeah. Let me think about. So I had a coach and phenomenal coach, and he's very. I mean, we were very experimental with some stuff he wanted. He wanted to be the new guy.
Mm.
And he was teaching me like a side spin jump serve where I would toss. I mean, I probably remember I would toss the ball that way.
It
Remember that?
it it gave us some trouble. We knew it was hooking back,
Yeah.
and then you burnt us down the line sometimes. But yeah, you threw way outside the sideline,
Yeah.
and
And I would,
cross body for everything, right?
if it worked, it was great. I just missed a lot because I kept getting like way out here on my side.
Mm.
So then I had to pivot a little bit where if it was really good side wind, then I can toss a little bit of angle and cusp it more into the wind,
Yeah.
or bring the toss a little lower if we're going more traditional. Then if I want to go from the middle, I can have more thumb up, thumb down, I'll toss it straight.
Mm.
But for me, and something I'm still learning, my defensive philosophy for a long time was always just sit in the pocket and react for balls.
Okay.
Which it works in maybe the early stage to kind of get a good feel for the attacker, like where are they starting out from, what balls are they hitting from, what serve, yada yada yada, and that can kind of later implement more of a strategy. We're trying to serve X player to the middle, and then their primary swing is thumb down line, and their primary shot is a cut shot or whatever it may be, and then you can kind of set up a strategy for that.
Okay. So you sit in the pocket, block line for a while, and then
Mhm.
you're using this time as what do they like to do in this
Yeah,
situation, or what do they do from certain locations. That
yeah,
way, I, I've gone through that a few times too, where it's like if I move too much or if I change too many variables on the defensive side,
yeah.
I'm not actually collecting valid
No,
stats
for
on
sure.
this team, so I
No,
can't make a prediction later on.
yeah. And for me, I used to just sit in the pocket and they hit a flat line. I was like, oh, that's a great shot. It's not my ball.
Mm,
All right, it's a good shot. And reality is like, well, if they keep hitting that, you're gonna eventually have to get one, or otherwise you're not gonna win. So then you kind of so for me, usually that for the first two side switches, I like to play a little more traditional, where for me we're doing stick with ones or twos, I'm serving someone to the line or to the middle, or maybe throwing a couple short serve just to see what they do and where they struggle most.
mm.
Maybe we're serving a short serve to limit their approach. And remember, now we can make more of a shot. My blocker can peel, and I
I
can.
love short serves.
Oh yeah, I remember last time I played you. You short served the crap out of me. Remember that?
I'll do it for an entire match,
No,
like,
I
and
was
I
so
relentless. You could stand at half court and I'll still do it.
yeah, I was so annoyed because I was like, I was trying to get off the net. I was not. It was kind of winning. I wasn't passing very well, and I was like, "Fuck this guy." And you guys beat that. And you guys beat. That was the last time we played. Was at Atlantic City. Yeah, that really made me mad. And I was like, "Damn, I just passed it a little higher. Get
I
it off."
remember now. Yeah, we thought you were kind of tired. We're looking at it and I was like, he's not moving as well as he usually does. So we didn't know if you were either gassed or hurt. But I was like, I don't know. This might not pay off for the first 3 quarters of the first set, but
Mhm.
I feel like at some point he's just not moving well enough. And so I was just like, this is going to be one of those long-term strategies where I'm going to get beat up for a while, and then at some point it'll hit where like maybe I'll rattle a few off in a row.
Well, it worked. So fuck you. Anyway,
You're welcome.
yeah, appreciate that.
I gave you a lot of reps at short serves.
You did. I really needed it. I need to work on my knee drop anyway to lift the ball better. But for me, that's kind of what I guess, how to throw the idea of just that's just a good shot. Let it go. Next ball.
Mm,
Because like I said, eventually, if guys ripping sharp angle and not really hitting anything else, eventually you got to get in there and dig it.
right. Or
So
send your blocker there to take care of it.
oh yeah, like you have to do something instead of just good swing next ball, good swing, good shot next ball. So I guess I don't know if that answers your question very well, but that's something I had to put in my mind. It's like, no, you can get involved if the other team is making good plays or hitting good spots. You can change it up. You can double up line if they're passing flat lines on a cross court serve to their cross court serve trapping out the pin.
Yeah.
You can take off to the line if you need to and just give up the cut shot completely if they're not hitting it.
Hmm.
If you get burned, you get burned. Then you get another chance to side out. Then you could try something different.
Yeah. No,
So
I mean I always start players at that initial of if you're playing BAAA for sure. Like,
yeah,
challenge people. Don't give everybody the respect that AVP players and FIVB players give each other.
for sure.
It's sit in the line and wait
Yeah,
to see if they can actually hit a high line far enough away from you and fast enough 3 times in a row without you guessing, without you trying to jump on it and giving something away. Because 99.9% of volleyball players cannot do that three
yeah,
times in a row. Get it over a block and beat somebody on defense if they have a clean start. Like,
yeah,
if you're off balance or if you showed me something because you moved late, you can't count that as, oh, their high line is too good, because you didn't even give yourself the opportunity to chase it appropriately,
yeah,
right? You got to prove to me that you can get it over my blocker in the corner and keep it flat enough to beat my speed before I'm going to mess with any shifting, like late moves,
mhm,
fours, threes, before I bite and respect it. And again, that doesn't happen until you're in the top 20 players in the country, right? All the
yeah,
rest of those kills, all the other kills, those are the ones where you would put yourself off balance, your feet were moving on contact, you needed to shift into the pocket, and that shift gave it away for somebody who looks. So now, like, they're not even beating you in a race, they're beating you because you're already behind in the race.
yeah, yeah,
So I'm very with you on that, and I like that you said, like, in the beginning, as you're coming up, this is a great
yeah.
strategy,
That's
great way
great.
to play. But then once you get that AVP or pro caliber, it's like, oh, everybody here does have that high line that can beat every one of us in a
Yeah,
pure start.
Yeah. That's part of evolving though. As you get better, you start to see higher levels, see more things, and I feel you kind of almost naturally start adapting to that swing that works playing in a double A may not work against an open. Then eventually you stop hitting that ball.
Mm.
You're already hitting swings that beat open players. Then you get to AVP main draw players. You hit like a pretty good cut shot that may go down, but against a World Tour player, but may not go down. Then you start learning, okay, now I can hit that ball maybe a little faster, or maybe I got to take my set a little more off the net. So you got freaking Anders Mole on the other side, or that. Have you seen that Estonian blocker, Novak?
Not yet.
Dude, unfreaking real.
Yeah.
Best, honestly, he's the biggest blocker I've ever seen.
How tall is he? What? Why don't I know? Why haven't I heard about this guy?
6'10", maybe.
Okay.
But he's making moves where he's like early, fully pressed in the line. As soon as Harry's about to swing, throws both his hands in the angle while fully pressed.
See, everybody's learning from Andy now.
Yeah.
It's crazy that Andy literally changed everything about blocking for everybody. But then the problem is you get all these 6'2", 6'3" guys who call themselves blockers, and they're trying to do those wacky double flailing arm guy type moves, and it's like, dude, you're 6'2" and you've got short arms for your body. Like, you're not going to penetrate on anything. This is not your move. This is Andy's move because he's 6'9", or well, what is he, 6'7"?
But anyway, yeah, it's like you have like Seidel from Austria. He's 6'3" blocker, and he's phenomenal. They're a top team in the world, but he's not making, like you said, those big, dramatic, fully pressed dive in the angle. But that kind of goes down to like what works best for you as a person. Because not every style of volleyball is going to fit what you can do best.
Right. And then it comes down to somebody being honest enough with you, or you telling somebody to say, hey, watch my game and tell me, because there's some coaches, so many coaches got obsessed with Andy, right? And they're like, this is how we got to coach blockers. This is how we got to coach blockers. And it's like, hey, dude, you have a 5'10" girl over here who's got a 20-inch vertical.
That's not going to happen.
This is not her blocking style. And so, okay, that is what the world's best player is doing. Do you have the same physical attributes as the world's best player? Like, are you going to like teach people to stand at 10 feet and swat high lines like Brandy Wilkerson, right? Who can like reach up, your chest, open it, and penetrate. Like, she is going to have a completely different blocking style than your junior's 16.
Yeah, for sure.
And people just don't understand that. They get obsessed with what the best players are doing instead of like what we have to do every day with Better Beach, like with our online courses and with our camps, is where are you right now? Let's take you to the next step for you and your body, not, oh, you should block like Andy. I know this is your third day. It's ridiculous what some coaches try to do, and it's unfortunate because then it makes people feel incompetent because they can't become successful at that.
Yeah. Which is that's kind of a sad reality for coaching sometimes. Like, we have a lot of coaches like that where they say, well, so like Christian Storm hits these kind of balls, we all need to be like them. And it's like, well, Christian Storm's 6'4", very physical, with a very heavy arm. It's like, you can't coach Christian Storm like how Adrian Carambola plays.
No, and you wouldn't.
Why would you? And they're two completely different body types, sizes.
No.
And they're both phenomenal. And obviously, Storm is the best. He is the best defender in the world right now. Adrian Carambola is an easy top 12, maybe top 16.
Do you think Christian is the best defender in the world, or do you think he's the best little attacker for his team?
I would say actually probably more of the second one.
Okay.
Probably a better attacker, but he digs phenomenally well.
And he baits hitters consistently, but
he's very good at reading and reacting.
I mean, he's also getting literally a whole. I mean, he is starting at 1-0 every time he plays compared to other teams, because everybody else is getting 1.9. If you're in the top 5 blockers in the world, you're getting 2 blocks per set, right? Andy's averaging 3.
That's pretty insane.
So that's a crazy handicap for other teams. Like, I'm not going to take anything away from Christian. I actually I coached Christian at a camp in Turkey when he was 13. Yeah. Dude, we played at the World Series in Huntington. And we're all at the hotel, kind of like doing the fireplace and the players party food and whatever. And he comes over to me. He's like, "Hey, Mark, do you remember me?" And I was like, sorry, like I don't. He was like, "You coached in Turkey at beach camp," and this was a Swedish company. Now they're volley tours and they run awesome camps in Spain. But
Nice.
he was just like, "Yeah, you coached me. Like I was there with my dad," and I was like, "You that little skinny blonde kid with the jump serve." Like if you're 13 years old and you're a guy and you have a jump serve on the sand, I'm like, "Man, you're the future. We're gonna play." So I hung out with him, and at that point he had taken already like a seventh at Worlds in, was it not Vienna, maybe Klagenfurt. And I was like, "Well, you seem to be doing just fine right now, young man. Like way to go, you know." So
Well, he is a baller, that is for sure.
yeah. So anyway, not taking anything away from him, but when you start with knowing your guy on in an average day
Yeah.
is going to get you 3 points on his block.
Yeah.
Oh, what confidence you have back there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay, so we'll go back to like the skills thing. So you were doing that outside serve, and it's weird because that same serve, your lefty serve, where you kind of throw outside your body and then you were hooking it all the way back cross body into the court. That's the same serve that Travis Mayweather is embracing a lot right now.
Copycat.
And to me, it doesn't look like, it's like if a baseball player were to, sure, he's going to throw a submarine pitch,
Yeah.
but he's also starting 5, 6, 7 feet further back.
Yeah.
Because if you want to hit that cross ball at me, cross body from the opposite corner,
Mm-hmm.
you're giving up maybe 10 extra feet of reaction time that I get now. So
Yeah.
you might be able to access more angles.
Yeah.
But are you giving me more time to react? So, where is it going to work out in your favor? And I think Travis has been doing that, and he gets some aces, but everybody gets some aces. So I don't actually love that throwing outside your body because it mitigates power.
Yeah.
Right? It takes away some power and it gives reaction time to the other team.
I think the one time I think it's good. We got pretty good side crossbody, pretty good crossbody wind, but it's also just the spin. It's kind of a weird angle for the passer to try to cut the ball off. It's coming that way, pretty sharp. That is kind of a tougher angle, and they kind of spin off the arms funky.
Yeah,
that's one of those things. If you're throwing a slider every single time,
that's a good point. Yeah,
everybody knows what to expect. And then normally though, so I remember once you kind of realize it might have been. I'm trying to remember who I was playing. But like the right side passer was starting dead center in the middle, and the left side passer was on the line. And I was like, okay, I'm going to hit the crap out of this line.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it because you have to like hook it from way at the side and try to hook it straight. Really hard to do. And I hit the antenna. And I was like, okay, maybe this is not an every time kind of serve. Maybe it's kind of like throw it in there. Maybe
I
throw
like
it in
that.
a little bit to kind of catch a passer off guard. Then they shift. And I can go to a regular toss, maybe hit a thumb down the line or something.
I really like that.
Yeah, but I feel like once you get kind of readable, it's easy to play against. Like we talked about, if a guy just swings angle and shoots line, okay, so you got one, your blockers got the other.
I think that I think the thing that catches people when you throw that slider is that people don't adjust their feet and their hips to the contact point that you're now presenting. So people like kind of face the net in general or face the back line. And then if you're throwing way outside, the good passers face where the ball is coming from. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But some people, if you're throwing that hook serve, people might not adjust their feet or reorient their body to say, oh, well, now that serve is coming from kind of outside the court. So that's the way that I'm going to face.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot what was
They're
Janelle. My wife's making funny faces at me back there and she's distracted me. But yeah, if you don't reorient yourself to where the serve is coming from, you're probably in a worse spot, and that's where that hook serve can really
come
in.
And then when a team adjusts, then you adjust, and then a team adjusts to that, then you can change your serve a little bit and always be one step ahead of the passers. You can always be one step ahead. Then obviously a team will side out eventually, but if you can string 2 reels in a row or 3 reels in a row, that's a pretty good number to hit.
Right.
Or even just one reel. If you get a side and get one reel, would that be like a 4-3 side switch every time? Or a 5-2?
Oh yeah. I never
4-3
said.
side switch, you win 20, you're up 20-15. And that's so if
That's
you
good
get
math. I like that.
thank you. That's Katie's. That's what she always says. Like if you just switch up 4-3 you get one reel each side. You switch up 4-3, you win 20. You're up 20-15.
Very nice.
It's like that is true. Actually, I never thought about that, but that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, we're just looking
Just
for 4-3 here.
Just get 1 point, and then not giving your reels back, which is obviously a little harder said than done, easier said than done.
Right.
But that's part of the game, though, which makes it exciting.
That is. So, what else have you kind of when you made the transition? Like, what helped you win at AA and Open tournaments, and then making that transition? Are you either in the process of getting rid of, or that you realize like you had to get rid of? So one of them we talked about was sitting in the pocket for too many points.
Yeah.
Right. Just a line block, cross defense, and staying there. It's funny because Try was on a couple weeks ago, and he
Okay.
was like, "We blocked line 95% of the points to win Manhattan Beach for the whole tournament." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we have like a seam line, a SWAT line, and like a line line."
Yeah.
So he's got like 3 different versions of line, but they were all line blocks except for very specific circumstances.
Yeah. Play first round ball.
But you also have to learn
Yeah.
how to block the different versions of line. Like people think a line block is a line block. No, it's not. You have a delay, you have a SWAT, you have a squat and drop, you have a seam line, you have a line. Yeah. To get into that for like a B or an A player, that's a lot for them to hear right now.
Well, I gotta remember when you said squat and drop. Do you remember we played each other in Manhattan 2018? You're up like 14-10. You're gonna serve me. You told Ian to squat and drop. He's gonna poke it. Squat and drop.
Was this against you and Logan?
No, me and Brandon.
Okay, you and Clemens.
Squat and drop. He's gonna poke it. Squat and drop.
You heard me?
Somebody felt. I saw the match on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I remember watching like that motherfucker. Because I thought, like, I remember the game. I thought I was holding it really well, like coming in strong. Then no, you guys were just sitting for the pokey the whole time. But too, that really that made me actually pissed me off a little bit too. I was like, I might scream like, "Fuck!"
Sometimes sometimes you get that, sometimes you don't. I mean, we tried to do that this weekend and we didn't get it. So Dentler knocked me and Shane out of AC. And there were a couple things that we kind of knew were coming that he just did it like a bit better. Yeah. And most people, they don't use their blocker as a defender.
Yeah.
And it's so silly. Like the reason why I had to say, hey, squat and drop to my partner, my blocker, Ian at the time, was because your shots were too good for me to get as a defender. If your shots weren't quality, I wouldn't need Ian, right? I'd be like, yeah, you just stay there and block. But we had to create a play that allowed my blocker to become a defender. Yeah. And guys, shoot, I wish I had it in the background. This is why I needed Jamie on my team. You know Jamie from Joe Rogan's podcast? He's like the producer, the guy in the background that always pulls anything up. Anyway, I needed Jamie. Once we get a sponsor for this podcast, then we can afford a Jamie. But this it's one of those. We have called, and it's on YouTube. If you get what it is, you have
I'm going to cut you off. You just broke out completely.
Cool.
So I can repeat it.
All right, are we back?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, can you repeat that?
Cool. Yep. The squat and drop is the play that it works hitters who have a high line. Their high line doesn't go all.
Yeah.
That loop and too early as a defender, that hitter sees you, they see you breaking. And so they're good enough. Their vision is good enough. And that's what we had to do against you. Like if I broke on it in time to get it, you would see me and then you would hit the other way. You would hit cross or something like that. So what we had to do is I had to tell you with my body as a defender, like I'm nowhere near the high line. So I had to, as a defender, make you hit the high line because it was so easy. But this wouldn't work if you had shown me like repeated deep high lines or if you had varied.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like short high line, deep high line, short high line. Then I wouldn't really know what to do. But for this, I said, hey, man, Ian, you have to dig his shot here. So you have to match the exact block timing. This isn't a peel. And I think a lot of people screw that up. They say, oh, okay, I'm going to peel. No, you're going to drop as hard and as fast as you do with the exact same timing that you would as a blocker. And then once your ass hits your Achilles, you just kind of back pedal with your hands up, and that ball should fall right up your hands. Now, this is only going to work if you have some quality overhand digs, like a pokey, a tomahawk, and overhand slap. Some people, they feel it that close and they jack it up because they haven't trained any overhand digging.
Yeah.
Right? Like pokey digs or anything like that. So the only way that squat and drop works is if you know that somebody hits their shots over the block, but kind of near them. And then you have to, visually, you have to make them hit that. And a lot of people, and me and Ian had some arguments at the time because some of his peels, when I would tell him like, hey, you have to peel on this play, he misinterpreted it and he would like peel instead of squat and then drop, because the player would say like, see him peel, see that shoulder turn, and then bury it. And that's the danger of that play, is that you can call the right play, but if you execute it incorrectly or with bad timing, you get punished for it, and then you say, oh well, we're never doing that again.
That's kind of like beach volleyball. What's the side out rate like? I mean, how many teams? What is it, like 7 out of 10 teams are signing out average?
Oh, well, side out rate is
not just transit, just pure side out.
So are you talking attack percentage or side out rate?
We'll go attack percentage first.
Okay. Attack percentage to win an AVP tournament, you've got to hit above 500. So there's like basically 50% to 65%, and that's the upper echelon against incredible defense.
Okay, so we'll say 60% of the time to win high-level tournaments, the other team's not even touching the ball.
Right.
That's adding a lot of obviously that's another thing. I used to get so mad when I wasn't maybe not touching the ball or getting quality touches for a side switch or two. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's not really in your favor to be getting quality touches. So you don't beat yourself up so much. You didn't dig that really flat cut shot. Just use that as for storage, knowing that on this play they hit that cut shot.
Yes, thank you, Ben. Yes, God, we preach this all the time. You didn't lose a point; you gained a statistical knowledge.
Yeah, like once you see that again, then you're ready for it. And that's how when you see like the top level defenders in the world, men's and women's, it's just always that analytical thinking of use the early points to kind of see, then you can make the adjustments late game. Because usually, even when I watch the World Tour, there's a lot more digs after the technical than there are before the technical. A lot more. There's a lot more plays. That's when teams, okay, now we have this. We're gonna change our serving strategy, do this. And actually, do you remember there's a match in New York City? It was like Kyle, Fred, and Miles Mwagatutia playing Phil and Nick, and Kyle and Miles were up 11-10. I remember like, holy shit, this is a good game. Then they lost 21-12. Bottom line, like they were serving Kyle a little bit, serving Miles in the middle, changed everything. Then they went, because Miles was a little shooty. They started him straight line to line, trapped him at the pin. Phil delayed. We did a delay line shot block, and Nick just sat in the sharp angle, not super sharp, like a little bit off the pocket to the right to dig the fast little choppy cut. And then
it's funny. So there's that brings me to like two separate points. One of them is that people make this mistake and they're like, oh, they're getting dug because they're tired. It's like, no, it's not. Like, guys, we're in shape. We're in condition. It doesn't take you 21 points, 42 points to get tired, right? It's those digs happen late in the game, not because of extra pressure. Occasionally, so there's a little extra pressure, but it's because the defense learned. And if you don't feel Like you're playing a match, and at the end of the match, you know the team any better. Like at the next match, this is 100% your game plan because you know what they did. You didn't do your job as a player, as a competitor in that match. You have to know what they're doing and what they did and why they beat you and what shots they hit to do it. And if you're not doing that, if you're just slugging it and then you're telling yourself, shoot, I missed my cutty on match point, and that's why I lost that game. So now I'm going to go and do 100 cut shots. It's like, no, like you lost a strategic battle. Occasionally, every now and then, you get head to head. Like two rams locking horns, and it's going to come down to one shot. But most of the time, it's a long strategic battle.
Yeah, totally. Which is kind of a great thing about beach volleyball because you don't really see that. If you're just watching to watch, you don't really see the strategic side of the game happening.
No.
But you look close, like when you get to later games, like there's a reason why they're serving. Like you're serving me short because you thought I was tired, and I didn't think I was tired at all. Now I'm actually kind of mad that you thought I was tired. I'm actually kind of pissed about that right now. Like I'm actually kind of like disappointed. Like I didn't feel tired at all.
I mean, it was hot.
It was hot. It was hot.
Yeah, and that was an end of the day match, right?
Yeah,
so yeah, this was evening. So it's like, now, all right, now if we're 3 or 4 matches in, this is when we could start saying, am I gonna get the half inch that I need to touch it?
Yeah.
I had played, I guess it was my 5th or 6th match just against Logan Weber and Evan Corey at the Laguna Open.
Okay.
And every term pretty much served me exclusively for the tournament. And I highlined literally for the entire game. And then Evan bit on one and I shot cross. And then like my line was open. And so Logan just kept reaching higher and higher and higher and higher. And on the last 2 points of the match, he nicked the ball enough to slow it down. And all right, was it me playing like 6 matches? Or was it 6-9 going, I'm going to get as high as I can. I'm not penetrating at all. Like blocker saying, I have to touch this because my defender's not getting it.
Yeah.
And he got 2 touches at the right time. If I had chosen a different swing there, sure. Maybe I could have hit it at his face and used his forearm. But
go fast,
why would I go away from what has worked for 2 straight days?
No, you're not. I don't think you're really thinking that. Like, well, I've hit high line 14 times and scored 14 times. I'm going to take a back set and change it. I don't think that's really going through your mind right there.
No, yeah, you're thinking like, well, a little bit. You're playing that chess game, but like at the moment, I was just like, nah, I'm getting it over Logan just fine. So I'll find it and I'll see if Evan moves on it early. And I had the shot. I had both of them. It's just he got up there and he nicked it, and that's where it pays to have a tall blocker.
That's why most of the blockers on the World Tour are 6'5" and 6'6" and above, 6'7" and above.
Oh man, it makes the game easier as a defender.
Yeah, it does.
When people can, I got a good friend, Joe Lambert, who's doing a lot of great stuff for volleyball in Utah. He started at Sand Utah and Sand Ohana, which is now a nonprofit that's helping kids, helping introduce beach volleyball to kids in Salt Lake City. And he uses the term like flush that turd. So like when there's an overpass or an overset and somebody like takes care of it or dumps it or smacks it, he's like, yeah, way to flush that turd. And those big guys, like anything that's tight to the net. And I just learned about this playing behind Jeff Samuels. Jeff Samuels can flush those turds.
Yes.
If you put the ball tight on Jeff Samuels, he takes care of it. In system, when you're like 3 and 4 feet off, he's not as dominant, but he's still very good. But man, anything tight to the net, he just gobbles. And you're like, oh, that's nice. I don't have to worry about any tight sets. So now I can worry about some flat shots here.
That is nice. That is nice.
So what are you doing with your life now? You got Ben, is it Ben Vaught Health or Ben Vaught Fitness?
Oh, Vaught Fitness. So long story. Basically a couple years ago, I started Vaught Fitness. It just basically is like a personal training facility. I rent space from, like you probably see it in the back, Human Movement Lab. So I was renting space. I was seeing clients in there, mostly for like rehab stuff, knee pain, back pain, not severe injury stuff, but more minor stuff, like lingering knee pain. But yeah, I was doing that. But I'm actually closing this down in 2 weeks. I'm going to Brazil for 3 months and 4 days. So
What?
obviously I can't afford to be. I mean, when you ask for like the little like anything we should know about you kind of thing, I put that in there. Did you not read that?
No, the Brazil?
Yeah, so
I mean,
I leave
I'm a
October 5th.
skim
I'll be in
reader, but
Brazil.
I didn't know about Brazil. Okay, let's hear about it.
Yeah. So well, I know some of the questions you talk about mental stuff. How do you deal with confidence? So we'll go through it. So obviously, I was playing with another partner. They're on their side. I was playing with a partner. We were training for a long time to gear up for AVP stuff. This was before 20. This was 2021. Then 2 weeks before the first tournament, we decided to part ways. And that really that pissed me off because I spent a whole year and a half training with you, and now you want to play with. Now you're like, well, I want to try a tournament with this person, this person, this person.
Yeah.
It's like, can we at least like play 2 tournaments before? But anyway, so then I got Brandon Clemens back, and he was obviously, Vaught, you changed the Vaught Fitness. Nice, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got Brandon back, and things are good. He was my long-term partner. We've had good amount of success. I think people liked watching us play because we were kind of stupid on the court.
I thought you were a great team, and you guys got along emotionally. Like there was never like, they're separate. They're 2 individual players. They're kind of breaking apart. You guys always stuck together, had similar like mentalities, and supported each other enough. So at no point could anybody look at that and be like, they're not going to last.
Oh, yeah.
And I think people like appreciate that. It's kind of like the Nick and Phil, where Nick makes Phil laugh, and kind of opens up his spirit a little bit. But
Yeah.
no, I never expected you to play with anyone different for a while than with Brandon, because you guys are doing so well for so long.
Yeah, I know it was great, and then because that's when I kind of learned. It's always kind of when you're younger, you think the grass is always greener approach, instead of like, no, we get good together. Then after 2019, we split. He got hurt, and COVID happened. The entire time I was like, okay, I need to get Brandon back on my team.
Yeah.
So it finally happened. I was like, fuck yeah, like we're finally back. We went to CBVA the next day. He finds he's got 2 herniated discs in his back, and he can barely walk.
Oh man.
And I was like, fuck no. And it's like, oh, I can play through. The day before Wapaka, he had to cancel because he couldn't play. And then we go to Atlantic City. We're playing great, and then we had to play like 3 matches in a row. We had to play Chris Vaught and Shane Johnny won that. We had like a 30-minute break, and we had to play Cam and Theo. We lost in 3. Then we had like a 30-minute break, and we had to play another team. And then we had about a 45-minute break. We had to play another team. Then Brandon's back was like my back's full spasm mode. So we pretty much had to forfeit that second match. The last match, like not officially forfeit, but I was passing skyball serves off the court.
I get it. Yeah,
he was like, "No, we're not going to forfeit." I was like, "Okay, let's do it with our opposite hand."
Yeah, because maybe I don't know, maybe like a rainstorm will hit in the middle of the second set. We can play tomorrow, or
I remember we're playing Frishy. He skyballed like way over like the dividers, and I ran over, trying to lean over the divider to pass the ball back in the court. It was kind of anyway. So obviously, it was like we're not going to win, and then we get to Atlanta, we're playing Logan and Evan. We're up in the third set, like 7-3. All of a sudden, Brandon almost faints on the court. Call medical. He's like almost completely fainted. Then obviously he can barely play. We end up losing like 15-13 or something. Turns out he had COVID the whole time.
Huh.
And then I got home on the plane Friday night, and I was laying on the couch. I get up, and I was like, felt like a zombie. And I was like, great, now I have COVID. So then.
Did you?
Yeah, I got COVID. It gave me 2 ear, left me with 2 ear infections. It sucked.
An ear infection, dang.
Yeah, it was brutal. But anyway, so then basically out for Manhattan and going to Chicago. I was like, I can barely breathe right now. So I was like, okay, Chicago's out. And then to go into the next year, I was going to play a tournament with Dave McKenzie, like that October Clearwater event. He he tweaked his ankle the night before.
That's right, because he was supposed to play in the that fundraiser that Jeff ran, just like in the middle of our camp. So I got to like there's like a four people who ended up not being able to play this fundraiser, and then I got called up to do it.
Yeah, so he tweaked his ankle. This is October, and I was like, fuck. And Dave was awesome. He's such a fun guy to play with.
Yeah.
the most intense human I've ever met. It was just so
Oh
fun.
man, when he gets mad and you just see his pecs popping out of his,
Oh, just
you're just
rolls
like,
his
please
shoulders
don't
back.
hurt me.
And the most like non-politically correct human I've ever met, which is hilarious on the court.
Right.
But
But
anyway,
he's like socially incredible. Like
oh yeah,
easy. Like the way he's able to control his
yeah,
political correctness. You know, it's a choice for him.
yes,
And I like, you can see when he turns on like public Dave McKenzie,
yeah,
and then you also know when he's for the boys.
hilarious. But then again, so then he had a forfeit, he had a cancel, which sucks. I was like stoked to play with them. Then I got to play with him again. We had to play like it was like a pretty big like beach bums event or something for a big prize money. They canceled the tournament, and then we played in your guys' tournament.
Yeah,
It worked out great, and you
picked up the slack. That was fun. I
yeah,
mean,
you beat me in the semis, and I've lost you a lot. I'm just going in my head right now. I've not
DJ
lost.
beat you guys. I didn't do anything that match. DJ
I heard
was
DJ
just
was really
taking over that tournament. Yeah.
DJ was really good. That was a good game too.
Yeah.
That was a really good game. So then, all right, Brandon gets healthy. We're training. He's not quite tournament ready yet, so I go fly to Texas to play a big tournament with Kurt Topple. What happened? I think he landed funny, tweaked his knee. We had to forfeit the semis.
Damn, man.
And I was like, dude, why does God hate me right now?
Sometimes you feel like that, right? Where like you're doing everything right on your end, and then go ahead.
It keeps going. No, it keeps going. Yeah, he's healthy. Panama City. He wakes up. He is stiff as a piece of cardboard. Brandon can barely move. We play, and then we actually do pretty well. We take a ninth, and if we would have won, we would have qualified. We barely lost to Rafi and Jeff. And Brandon was barely moving. He was taking about 14 Advil a day, which is not very good.
No, not
he took a bottle. I think he took a whole bottle of Advil for that first day.
Jesus.
And has like just a numb. And then he gets a doctor, and the doctor told him he had a fragmented disc instead. And he was like, "Yeah, you're probably not going to play anymore." So he's doing the best.
I didn't know that about Brandon.
Yeah, so he's doing the best he can. We talk pretty much every day. We're going to Halloween Horror Nights. But yeah, so his back was, he's like, yeah, basically the doctor told him like, you should probably get surgery. And he's obviously, if you get back surgery, that could be really bad long term. So bottom line, he was done. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. And I told my coach Dan Wainwright, and I told him like, look, unless you get something cool to happen, like I am so over just like getting my hopes up and being crushed. And then 2 weeks, then a week, 2 weeks to a month later, he was like, all right, you're going to go to Brazil for this time. And I was like, okay, great, sweet. Back, let's do it.
Nice.
Because I'm like, obviously, like, go back to my goal for this year. I really want to try to play World Tour stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got to do it. I want to travel, play, see if I can do it. And obviously, I'm not winning AVPs. Therefore, it's hard to get someone that's doing that. Justifiably so. I mean, if you're not winning AVPs, why would someone pick you up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's fair. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But Brandon was very down to do that because we're both not okay. Well, I hope I don't get banned from the AVP, but both not anti-AVP, but not super fond of the direction they're going.
Not this year.
Yeah.
This year was terrible.
Yeah, both. I've played. I think I mentally played this year like 3 events: Panama City, Seaside, and Atlantic City with Christian Honer. Yeah. Before that, I was like, this is just whatever. Long story, whatever. So we're gonna play World Tour stuff, and then obviously that didn't happen. Brandon got hurt. I was like, well, no one's gonna play with me in those. Justifiably so. I don't blame him. I don't blame anyone for that, or I don't blame Chase Bunninger picking me up, because why would he? I wouldn't, if I was in issues, I wouldn't do that. Well, I mean, I would for me, but he doesn't know me very well. So,
yeah.
But so then Dan was okay. So you can go to Brazil, train for 3 months. He's got me. He sent me with a coach, assistant coach, strength and conditioning coach, nutritionist, practice partner.
There are opportunities in Brazil to train and get legit coaching staffs.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna have
pennies on the dollar.
Oh yeah,
So one of my regrets is that I never did the Brazil season. I did the Australian season.
Oh, cool.
But that's a completely different world. That's like expensive. There's 2 coaches there, but most of their coaches dedicate to their national team. Brazil,
there's a lot. I mean, I think Rio is really the mecca of beach volleyball right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you can go. He said, go there. I'm going to be living with my coach's mom, which is pretty funny, for 3 months. Yeah, well, it's gonna be awesome, man. I'm not paying for Airbnb. My practice is literally a walk to practice every day. So I'll be at 5 practices a week, weight room 5 times a week, video breakdown, nutritionist. Then I'll play on a few of the Brazilian events there.
Do you know, are you paying for that, and are you comfortable sharing those prices? Because I know somebody who literally, I mean, I think it was like $250 a month, and he was getting a physio, a staff of 4 coaches running 4 hours a day, and that included ball and training work. But
Yeah,
what like, I almost
80 bucks a week.
$80 a week.
Well, it's also like the US dollar to the Brazilian to the what's the Brazilian the Bruel, as they pronounce it?
Great question.
I mean, look,
Anybody in the audience?
bottom line, the US dollar is worth a lot. That's why I was looking like you don't need you don't need a tourist visa to go to Brazil because
Mhm.
if you're an American, they want US dollar is worth a ton over there.
Yeah.
So I was like, and then my goal is to play world. My dreams obviously play world tour, and then so it's like this might be a great avenue to get some of the best coaching, best training, and then come back here. And then obviously a lot needs to happen to make that possible.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a step in the right direction because once Brandon quit, I just completely defeated me. I was like, well, this is just destiny telling me go do go sell drugs to kids or something. I don't know.
Man, I bet. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't tell you that. But uh, yeah, I was there when I was playing with Topple, what
Yeah.
2015,
Oh, you guys
and
are really
we
good.
had the best season of my life, and we were doing well. We made a fifth in Manhattan. We got a third based on Stafford's injury, in New Orleans. So we are doing well, and we both got to top 100 in the world.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, "Hey, man, I need to go make money. Sorry." Like,
Yeah.
and that was it. And I was just like, "What?" Like, I knew I had to hold on to him because he's an incredibly talented guy and incredibly
Oh,
intelligent.
oh,
So he can make money in whatever field he wants to. Like, and he literally did. He goes, I think the future of the world is in coding. So he went to a 8-week intensive coding school, and
okay.
now he's, not to share anything about him, but I think he's making bank,
That's right.
doing coding for some company after doing that. And it's just like,
Mhm.
man, I liked us together. I liked playing with you. I liked
Yeah.
our competitiveness. And then you needed to make money. I get it. You got a family, you got a daughter on the way, and now he's got a daughter. And so
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah.
Oh,
And those
it's
things hurt.
yeah. When Brandon quit, it killed me. So it's like it was so perfect. Like we
Yeah.
were fun. 'Cause, like before, when we first started, I was telling him like, let's go sign for every international tournament. He was like, no, we're not doing that yet.
Mhm.
This is the first time we were on the same page. He was healthy. He was healthy going into it, and we were playing really good, playing better than we did years ago because we're both better players now than we were back then. Smarter, obviously, a little more physical. God, then just for all that just to end so abruptly,
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck!" Well, this the whole point of this year was to build up to this, and now it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
And I was like trying to text people to play. Everyone was shooting me down left and right. Because
Oh yeah, then it comes to like that points game, and
then all my
people
AVP
end up
points.
and not played with you, and they see your results with somebody else, and they're like, "Wow,
Yeah,
well, you didn't win with this guy," and it's just like, but
but
you,
then all
you
my
don't know what all those 2 points came down to.
yeah, and then all my AVP points dropped completely.
Mm,
All my main draw points dropped, and I didn't play all 2021 because obviously of what happened
sure,
with Brandon's back and stuff. So I was like, "Wow, this freaking sucks."
yeah,
So then again, like going to Brazil was like, "Oh, finally, like this is good.
oh yeah,
This
yeah.
could be a
That's a
huge,
great start. That's a
it's a,
good reset.
it's a huge opportunity just to get out of the American volleyball bubble, the gossip circle stuff."
And I'll tell you this, yeah, I think you got a great season to look forward to, because the year after I came back from playing the full season in Australia, so that's
Uh-huh.
3 beach seasons in a row, right? American beach season, Australian beach season, American beach season. I
Yeah.
was unbelievably comfortable on the court. Like, nothing rattled me. Passes were automatic. I didn't have to think about passing or setting. It wasn't. It just came, right. And that was the Doppel year where I had like my best year
Oh, yeah,
was playing competitively all year round. So, man, I think
that's that.
it's gonna be fun to see you playing next year.
No, that's what I'm excited for. Now I'm just trying to find a guy that wants to do it with me. And that's a harder part.
Sure is.
But I mean, I think I have. There's one guy. He's not going to say who he is. He's not a top tier AVP guy by any means, but he's hungry and wants to get better, wants to grind, wants to fight. And it was like, dude, this is perfect.
Yeah,
So practice him today, and we're practicing a lot next week. And then if we're in, he'll come down to Brazil with me for a few weeks too.
that'd be great.
And it's like, dude, this is perfect.
That's
Like,
it. Reps count.
let's be. What's up?
Reps count.
Oh yeah, and it's like this is
People
be.
don't, if you practice 5 hours for 2 weeks, you have
Yeah,
now gotten what most people get in 4 or 5 weeks.
yeah,
Like it's a rep based thing.
for sure,
People
for
need to
sure.
just get those reps, and then that muscle memory will stick with you after that.
And then just to be surrounded by so many great coaches and players over there. Even I know, even Rosie was when Rosie went down, he would say there's like 16 blockers and defenders. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration. That can all be top 10 in the world. Just
Yeah.
most of them will not get the chance to do that.
Mhm.
And it's like if I could go put me there, I want to go there, get my ass kicked a million times, and then start to get better from
Nice.
that. So that was kind of my season this year. I really didn't feel like I played at all. It was kind of just more of like in the just bumped position, bum spot the whole year.
Yep.
But this is gonna be sick though. I leave in 2 weeks, and I cannot be
Good.
more excited. Practicing my
Nice
Portuguese.
reset button.
I know like 3 words in Portuguese, so that's ready to go.
That's yeah. They're gonna love your Rubia, your
Oh,
little blonde
fun.
head. You're gonna be popular there.
Yeah, I've heard I need to. Usually in Brazil, can't kind of keep a little bit of a lower profile.
We'll
There's a
see.
lot of, we'll see. I mean,
We'll
if I
schedule
get
another interview for 4 months
yeah,
from now, and we'll get
yeah,
uh,
full
a
rundown.
review on what it was like, because I truly I'm jealous. I'm excited for you to go and get to
I
do that.
appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Oh,
What's
Ben,
on here? Sorry, you
we
must.
uh we gotta cut this.
Oh, bummer.
So gotta run, gotta go to Home Depot. Pretty exciting little Wednesday, actually. I gotta feel a tile that I'm getting a countertop replaced. But uh dude, really good talking to you. I appreciate you taking the time, and for everybody out there who's, you've been through the ringer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hurts. Sometimes
Oh,
it sucks. And then you hit that reset button,
yeah.
and it's like, hey, this is somebody had a couple rough losses, a couple rough seasons that were unexpected just due to life. And you know what we do? We pick it back up, and now we go harder.
Yeah.
It's not like you stop. You just go harder, and you get back to Brazil, and you go to train 5 hours a day, or whatever your Brazil is in your life. You get back to it, and you hit that grind.
Yeah.
So good to see you hitting that reset button and getting after it.
Appreciate that. Alrighty. Well, thanks for having me on, man. That was a lot of fun.
Definitely. Ben, have a good one. Enjoy Brazil.
Thank you.
Eat lots of red meat and get some acai bowls.
Oh, for sure.
That'll be good. All right.
All
Have a
right.
good
See
night,
you.
man. Thanks for coming on.
Yep.
Cool, guys. Hey, I appreciate everybody staying and coming in for that talk. It's really cool to know, like, first of all, I actually didn't know, playing against Ben, how young he is and how much of a future he still has. And he's about the age, I think he's at the age that I was at when I went to Australia to play my full season there. And that's a trip too, man, to be able to play in that southern hemisphere, and then you get 3 seasons in a row. You get so much comfort playing. I know a lot of you now have these indoor facilities and year-round facilities, so you get to experience that. And what an advantage. And what a cool thing to just keep playing. Some of us need little mental breaks or physical breaks to correct some things, but then you can get back and you can hit it hard. And it's nice to talk to Ben about all the strategies, things that he's changed, his path into the sport. And I hope you guys got a lot out of it. So um, that's it. Usual announcements from us. If you want to get coached by me, by my staff, by the pro players that we have on our staff, with Chad Mercado, Crystal Ritterhouse, we have uh, Brandon Joyner, Kyle Friend's going to be joining our online coaching staff. And then at our camps and clinics, of course, like J.M. Plummer, who's been doing really well in the AVP this year. Chase Frischman, who is also starting an incredible company called Flight School, which is also running clinics and camps. All these things, guys, if you want to become a part of it, just reach out. I know how tough it was for me to reach out to coaches and to ask for help, but I'm inviting you to ask us for help because all we crave is seeing people do something tomorrow that they weren't able to do today. Seeing somebody be able to do something today that they weren't able to do yesterday. When you learn, I just got this text message with a friend who's now coaching in Israel. And I said, dude, when people are striving for something, when they're getting better at something and they feel themselves improve, even if it's at the littlest thing, right? Even if it's at like whatever, throwing a ping pong ball into a plastic cup, but you do something, you tweak something and you feel that it worked, which means that you feel that you improved. You carry that confidence, if not just for that moment, sometimes you carry that into the rest of your life and that makes you a happier, better person. So if you want to do that with us and if you want to do that with volleyball, we are the place. We're inviting you to come. We can help your arm swing. We can help you play better. We can help you enjoy the game more. We can help you build your communities. And if you're a coach, we've said this before, but we are starting a beach volleyball, better at beach coaching certification. And I just got an invite to run our first coaching certification clinic up in Northern California next spring. But we'd be happy to do more, certify your club or teach the people in your neighborhood, your area, how to coach better and the way that we teach the game because I know growing up in New York that the conversations that are held outside of the AVP and outside of the national team are not even close to the things that we talk about once you get to that level, and I want to help bring that level, those conversations to everybody so that the sport can advance and so that people can move to the next level quicker. And when they do that, they become more confident, they become better people. Uh, and that's what we're after. So we're here, guys. You want to coach better, you want to start a coaching program, you want to start a club, you want to just get better in your neighborhood, or you want to run a clinic that's going to be fun and physical fitness and team bonding for anybody uh, in your social realm, reach out. Here's your invite to invite us. Um, and that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Cool. Guys, thanks for joining. For those of you who are here live, for everybody who's listening on the podcast, go ahead and roll up another episode. And I think there's like 3 dots somewhere that you can go ahead and give a rating if you enjoyed this episode or you like any of the others. As a personal secretive favor to me, go ahead and share it. Share it with somebody or share your favorite episode with somebody or just post it somewhere if you liked it. And we can help spread the good word of volleyball. All right. From all of us at Better at Beach and myself, Mark Burrick, thank you for being here. Thanks for letting us share your ear for a little bit, and I'll see you on the sand.